I hope you guys have a great day. Today we've got a very important live stream because a lot of the biggest stories right now are pointing in the same direction. The world is becoming more digital, we know, becoming more automated and more connected to crypto and AI faster than most people expected. And honestly, TradFi, so traditional finance, is slowly starting to accept that reality as well. So we're starting with Bitcoin and Wall Street because one of the biggest developments right now is Morgan Stanley pushing deeper into crypto. The bank is now rolling out Bitcoin and crypto trading directly on E-Trade. That means millions of traditional investors may soon be able to buy Bitcoin the same way they buy stocks. So no separate crypto exchange, no complicated onboarding, just another tap inside your brokerage account. And personally, I think this is one of the clearest signs yet that crypto is becoming part of the TradFi system. But at the same time, the Bitcoin narrative itself is changing because Michael Saylor and Strategy are now openly talking about potentially selling Bitcoin strategically if needed. That is, of course, a major shift. Like, are we entering a black swan event in 2026? For years, the message was never sell your Bitcoin from Michael Saylor. But now the conversation is becoming much more focused on maybe balance sheet management, on cash flow, preferred dividends, and financial products like STLC. So today we'll break down why this may not actually be too bearish, too concerning, and why this is probably just how institutions naturally operate. We also talk about A16Z raising a massive $2.2 billion crypto fund. And honestly, the more interesting part is their message. Some of the biggest investors in crypto are now openly saying large parts of the industry are dying. So we simply have too many zombie coins, too many ghost chains, and too much speculation without real usage. And capital is now concentrating into smaller areas, smaller sectors like Bitcoin, like stablecoins, AI agent systems, and RWA or tokenization. That tells you the industry is entering a much more serious phase right now. Then we move into AI because AI race is accelerating again. Apple is reportedly preparing to open iPhones to outside AI models in iOS 27, meaning future Siri requests could potentially be powered by Google Gemini or Claude or other third-party AI systems. That is a very different strategy from Apple, and it shows just how much pressure the company is feeling in the AI race. We'll also break down Palantir's earning because the company just reported a very explosive AI-driven growth, yet the stock still fell afterward. That tells you investors are becoming more demanding when it comes to AI companies. We'll also have some important geopolitical story today. Russia and North Korea are building a new bridge connecting the two countries directly. Not just symbolic operation anymore, but actual infrastructure. So we're talking about some trade routes being built and potentially military logistics as well. At the same time, we'll discuss some very disturbing reports coming out of the Ukraine war that remind how brutal prolonged warfare can become when supply lines collapse and survival conditions deteriorate. We'll also talk about Bitcoin mining because Colombia's president is now openly supporting Bitcoin mining power by renewable energy. And that's interesting because he's known as it's more like a climate-focused leader. So globally, the conversation around Bitcoin mining is changing. More governments are now viewing it through the lens of energy monetization or infrastructure and economic development. So today is really about one big transition. So Wall Street is changing, crypto is changing, so is AI, and governments around the world are also adjusting very quickly to these shifts. So we've got a lot to break down today. Let's get straight into the first story that we need to cover, being Morgan Stanley is officially bringing Bitcoin trading directly to E-Trade. So, of course, they are pushing deeper into the crypto world. And take a look at this. Like the bank is now rolling out Bitcoin and crypto trading directly on eTrade with fees reportedly around 0.5%. That immediately put a lot of pressure on lots of existing crypto platforms. So what just happened is eTrade users will now get direct access to crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. The infrastructure is being powered by Zero Hash, and this rollout has reportedly been in development for months. And the biggest story here, like why we find this news so interesting, is of course the fee is very attractive. Like if the 0.5% fee is accurate, then that would undercut many existing crypto platforms, especially for smaller traders. And this is, of course, adding a lot of pressure to platforms like Coinbase, as they can charge, of course, noticeably higher ticker fees for retail users. Meanwhile, apps like Robinhood always advertise the commission-free trading, but often make those money through the larger spreads behind the scenes. So Morgan Stanley is coming in very aggressively on pricing. And this is much bigger than just fees alone. This is really about distribution because now millions of traditional brokerage users can access crypto without downloading a new app, without opening a separate crypto account, and without learning an entirely new platform. Bitcoin simply becomes another tab inside an existing portfolio. And honestly, that is a huge deal. For years, crypto felt separate from TradFi. Of course, you need to use different apps, maybe Binance or Coinbase, just like completely different systems, different platforms. Now, that war is slowly disappearing. Major banks are starting to integrate crypto directly into their normal financial products, and that changes accessibility completely. So I do believe this is a major change because, like, think about it, like a lot of people still haven't bought crypto for just one simple reason: is that the friction. Like, there's too many steps, too complicated, very unfamiliar. Is it another zone? But when a trusted brokerage already holding your stocks suddenly offers Bitcoin as well, that barrier becomes a lot lower. So this matters for the industry because every major bank entering crypto puts pressure on fees, on user experience and execution quality. And of course, that will be really good for consumers like you and me. The bigger trend is that TradFi and crypto will eventually merge together, and I do predict that the line between the two will become more blurry for users. So what happened next is like, I'm watching this very closely. If Morgan Stanley succeeds here, other major brokerage will likely follow. Nobody wants to lose younger investors who increasingly expect crypto assets inside their portfolios. So this could become a much bigger competitive trend across Wall Street. So final take, this is not just another broker adding Bitcoin. This is one of the largest TradFi institutions in the world, making Bitcoin cheaper, getting Bitcoin cheaper, simpler, and easier to access for millions of retail investors. And every time that happens, Bitcoin moves one step closer to becoming a normal part of the financial system. So I'm liking what I see. However, it's not all good news. For today's show, there's Palantir is experiencing some distress. Well, not really distress. They actually they beat the earnings. So what just happened is that Palantir reported massive earnings. Revenue jumped 85% year over year to $1.63 billion. That is the company's fastest growth since its IPO back in 2020. And yet, if we take a look at the stock, like it fell off the cliff. It actually, the stock fell more than 6% after earnings. So what happened? Here are the numbers that we need to pay attention. So Palantir beat Wall Street expectations almost across the board. So analysts expected around 1.54